Mr. President.
There's been some discussion about potentially meeting with Putin in your administration. If there is a peace deal signed, would you be open to inviting Putin to the White House?
Well, I don't want to really even discuss it. I got to get the deal. I've got to get the deal signed. 2,000 people a week sometimes are killed, and we have to get that agreement signed. But that's the only thing I think about.
Welcome back to our channel. You're here with your host, Conservative Bird, and his co-host, Double D. We got a great show for you today, so stick around.
And this is the Brick Road Podcast. Here on the Brick Road Podcast, we like to keep you up to date with the political structure that's going on in our country right now and how it affects us and everybody around the world. And today we have a pretty good episode for you, actually. So, we've been hearing a lot about a peace treaty going on between Trump, Putin, and Zelensky. So Trump and Putin finally had that phone call today. Well, the day of recording this, but let me let you guys know something really quickly, though, beforehand. Make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit the notification, and make sure to share this with somebody, because this is the only way that this podcast can be reached to its fullest potential. But let's get back into it now. So, like I said, we have Trump and Putin finally had the meeting. Finally, somebody is trying to do something with all this wasteful spending and all these innocent people being killed in Ukraine and Russia. And it's just not, it doesn't make any sense as to why this hasn't been done before. Biden was in office for 4 years, right, Double D? 4 years?
Yes, he was, but he didn't want it. He wanted that war over there, though.
We all know why he wanted the war, though. You know, it was all corruption. It was all money laundering. They don't care They don't care about people, whether it's American citizens or Ukrainian citizens or Russian citizens. They don't care. They just want to funnel their pockets with as much money as possible and launder as much money as possible, which is why there was 52 billion, I believe, that was misplaced. That they have. I thought it was 64 billion. Hey, you might be right.
52 billion, 64 billion. It's a lot of billions.
It's a lot of money. It's more money than any of us are ever going to see in our lifetime. Yeah. That's for sure.
And I wonder how much the big guy got kicked back on that. You know?
Oh yeah, we all know who the big guy is. So let's get into it. We got a couple videos, a couple articles that we're gonna dive into a little bit about this. We have one with just basically breaking down a little Trump and Putin talk that they had today. Then we also have a little article that we found about how Zelensky feels about it. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Let that clip roll, Bird.
We are following breaking news as negotiations are currently underway. This is a social media post from Fox News stating that President Trump and Russian President Putin are currently speaking on the phone about ending the war in Ukraine after President Trump's statement that, quote, many elements of a deal to end the conflict have been agreed to. You are taking a live look right here on the left-hand side of your screen of the White House. On the right-hand side of your screen, that is a live look of the Kremlin from Russia right there, as both leaders, President Trump and Russian President Putin, are currently on the phone speaking about a potential ceasefire on Ukraine. I did want to bring you the very latest, as today is a possible pivot point in efforts to end the war in Ukraine, and also an opportunity for President Trump to continue reorienting American foreign policy.
I'm not going to lie. With a lot of this, I mean, obviously not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's going to do everything the right way, and not everything's going to turn out the way that you want. But I will say this. Trump seems to be a really big peacemaker when it comes to world ethics. You know what I mean? When it comes to how things are done around the world, it seems like he wants peace and prosperity more than anything else. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it from the wrong perspective. How do you look at it?
Well, the way I see it, I think you're right. He knows that peace and prosperity equal, peace comes with prosperity.
Right.
Again, the only people who profit from war are the warmongers, and that's a handful. Everybody benefits from peace and prosperity. If they could get this, if they can get an agreement over there in Ukraine and Russia, and obviously Putin's got his terms, Zelensky's got his terms, and well, Donald Trump, I mean, he wrote the art of the deal, and so there's going to be some terms in there for us too. Overall, what it comes down to, if we can get peace in Ukraine and Russia, then we can start looking at maybe figure out how to get peace in the rest of the world too. This is a domino effect. It starts with this. We either do this and end this war in Ukraine and Russia, or World War III starts and everybody and factions all over the world are fighting each other. These are domino effects. That's what's going to happen. World War I, World War II, both were the same way. They dominoed into the World War, and all of them, both of those wars. I'm not sure about World War II, but World War I definitely could have been negotiated out of killing everybody.
Right,
but that's not which way it went. I think Donald Trump's trying to change that. Now, World War II, you had a mad dictator. I'm not sure there's much you can do with that.
Right.
I don't personally believe that Vladimir Putin is a mad dictator. I just believe he's firm and he's set in his ways. And
I also think he's upset about everything that's going on with the fact that they've been trying to bring Ukraine into NATO. The fact that NATO has been moving closer and closer to Russia every year, and they were told that they weren't going to do that. You know what I mean? And Russia was told that they're not allowed to join NATO. So it's like, okay, you're going to tell me I'm not allowed to join an organization, like a worldly organization, like basically is like where everybody's together. And I don't like it. I could care less for NATO, but that's what it is, though. It's basically other leaders of the country coming together and basically sticking with each other, right?
It's basically two sides. You've got NATO and you've got Russia and China
when
on the other side.
When you tell a powerhouse like Russia that they're not allowed to join you, but then you're trying to have Ukraine, who technically was Russia at one point, correct?
Well, they were all part of the Soviet Union.
Right. So it's like how I would be upset too. Like, you're not going to tell me that you're going to be moving closer to us when you told us you weren't going to move closer to us. Take our next, basically. I guarantee there's Ukrainians and Russians that are family members. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, almost all of Eastern Ukraine speaks Russian to begin with.
Exactly.
And in the beginning, I remember Zelensky was always talking about how he wanted to unite, but he insisted upon that uniting being on one party, so he made all the other parties illegal. Obviously canceling the elections, which I hope Donald Trump holds him to that.
Right.
Now, I've been reading different things about that. Zelensky in some parts is very popular, but I bet you in the Russian-speaking parts he's not as popular.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't think he's that popular because I don't think he would be pushing all this war so he could stay in power, because he stopped their elections basically ever since they've been in war, which is what you're supposed to do. But this war could end. You know what I'm saying? It should be over with. It shouldn't even have really started in the first place. Like, NATO had no business moving closer and closer to Russia while telling them that they're not allowed to be allies with them.
And you got to understand, Putin probably feels a little uncomfortable,
right?
With having it right on his border.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like we would feel uncomfortable if, I don't know, a terrorist organization like Hamas or ISIS set up shop right in front of us. You think Trump's gonna allow that?
I could tell you this: back in the 1960s, when the Cubans did it and had the Soviet Union 90 miles off the coast of of Florida with all their battleships, John F. Kennedy came. He put a stop to that shit.
Oh, for sure.
Made sure. He shut that shit down right away.
Listen. I don't believe in all the death and destruction going on between Ukraine and Russia, or between anywhere around the world. I don't care where it is. I don't believe in all that. But the fact of the matter is, you have to protect your people first, and that's how Donald Trump needs to do it too. We need to protect our people first. And what's wrong with Putin saying, okay, you guys are trying to get closer to us, and you don't want to be my ally. What's wrong with what? I just don't get it.
The only thing I just don't want to send any American men and women over
No.
there to go fight a war that we don't belong in.
I don't either.
And I think that if he can get this ceasefire and then get a peace treaty, which obviously, part of that peace treaty has to be them stop shooting each other's infrastructure and their utility buildings.
Right.
You know what I mean? And their
to me,
anything that they.
To me, a peace treaty should be written simplistically, right? It should be written as let bygones be bygones. You don't harm him and you don't harm him. You guys leave each other alone. And that's it.
I think the best thing they can all do is just not let the lawyers get involved.
Yeah.
With that said, Putin is actually a lawyer. So
is he? I did not know that.
Yeah. Putin is actually a lawyer by trade. So
People,
he's very familiar with the law in his country and the law with the old Soviet Union and the law in Ukraine. He's very familiar.
Right.
So he knows how to negotiate from that standpoint. And Zelensky, well, he was an actor, and actors can act like good lawyers, but they don't usually make good lawyers.
You know what the libtards are going to say, right? We're simping for Putin when we're just literally speaking facts.
But we're not. We're just
telling the truth. We're just telling the truth.
We just don't want any American men and women having to go fight a war because the libtards are butthurt over Ukraine.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I don't think most of them can even point Ukraine out on a map to me. I bet if I was to ask most Democrats on the street, if I was to walk around with a world map, now, of course, I wouldn't put the names on it because that'd be too freaking easy.
Right.
But you know what? I might have to do that for them too.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean?
That's true. So, you got to give them a little bit of help. That's all they want.
You got two types of Democrats. You have the very overeducated elitist assholes, which makes up their entire leadership.
Yep.
And then you have the ignorant, indoctrinated robots that follow. So I don't know. They're, what? Now that I think about it, they're,
in all honesty, that's all they ever want. I mean, you would be their government if you helped them out.
Yeah, probably.
All right, let's get back into this video a little bit.
Anyway, but before you do that, though, if they want to say that we're sympathizing with Putin just because we want to see a ceasefire, that just tells you how much more they hate America.
Right.
Because they would rather send America's kids over there to go fight a war that they couldn't point the country out on a map, even if I put the frickin' name on it.
Exactly. It's just sad,
On that rant, I'll let the clip roll, Bird.
President Trump disclosing the upcoming conversation to reporters while flying from Florida to Washington on Air Force One on Sunday evening. The Kremlin confirming Putin's participation yesterday morning. President Trump at the time said, quote, "We will see if we have something to announce maybe by Tuesday. I will be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday. A lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end." Kremlin spokesperson yesterday morning did confirm the plans for the two leaders to speak today, but declined to give details, saying that, quote, "We never get ahead of events," and, quote, "The content of conversations between two presidents are not subject to any prior discussion."
Dude, how great
I agree with that too.
I do too.
I agree with that.
How great would it be to be a fly on the wall in either one of those offices?
Yeah, it would be very interesting. That's for sure.
Now we need another fly translator for Putin to understand what he's saying. But yeah, it'd be nice to know what that conversation was like and what they said to each other.
Yeah, I'd be curious, and we're going to find out anyway. Because we're not going to know everything. We're never going to know.
We never know everything.
And we don't need to, but we are going to know what's most important. And hopefully, Donald Trump, with his skilled abilities to come to a deal. I hope the art of the deal works this time.
I do too, seriously.
Because if it doesn't, you can forget about peace in Gaza. You can forget about peace in Israel. You can forget about peace in China and Thailand. I have a feeling or Taiwan, I mean. I have a feeling all the shit will hit the fan at the same time.
Exactly.
This is the domino that needs to be focused on first.
Exactly.
And I know people are going to be angry about, about the concessions that Ukraine's going to have to make. Well, guess
Right.
what? There's going to probably be people in Russia who are pissed off about the concessions they have to make. And you guess what? Americans, we're going to have to make some concessions too.
Exactly.
I mean, is it our war? No, absolutely not. What's our concessions? Well, our concessions is we're going to have to negotiate with both again.
Right, because we're so financially invested into this war. It's sad at this point.
We got to get something back, and the only thing I can think of, well, electric
Peace.
cars are the future.
Yeah,
And,
that and peace would be nice too.
well, and peace will bring us some of that again. Those
Yeah.
minerals, those very
Yeah.
important minerals over
It's
there.
true.
Trump, he's not going to leave without them.
No,
He's
I
not going to
don't.
leave without them, and that's going to solve our electric car issue too.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, let's get back to it.
Discussion happening right now over the phone as President Trump and Russian President Putin are currently speaking about how to end the war in Ukraine. Previously, Ukrainian President Zelensky agreed to the terms of this temporary ceasefire. Putin, though, saying that there were still stepping points that he would need to flesh out right there. Russia did fail in its initial goal to topple the Ukrainian government so far with its invasion 3 years ago, although it does still control large areas of the country. President Trump saying land and power plants are part of this conversation around bringing the war to a close.
So when they say that they said land and power plants? Does that mean that?
That means they don't want them bombing their utilities and they don't want them bombing their infrastructure.
That's what I thought.
Like parks and hospitals and
Right.
recreational centers. You
Where
name it.
multiple people are there.
Things that normal people need to use on a daily basis.
No, I get it.
And, if you can stop the bombing of that, and just keep the shit on the front lines, if they could get a ceasefire with that, they pretty much have a ceasefire, because it seems like that's what they've been doing to each other.
Okay.
That front line has already been pushed back into Ukraine anyway.
Okay, I get it. I got you.
Saying that they'll be talking about land and also power plants and dividing up certain assets. So
that's interesting. So
Yeah, they're
by
gonna be dividing up.
by dividing, does that mean?
It means they're going to be splitting up some of those power plants and utilities. They're probably going to take that nuclear power plant that's in eastern Ukraine. I
Okay.
have a feeling that's going to Russia.
Okay, which I mean,
With
listen.
that said, all that means is Russia will be supplying the electricity instead of Ukraine.
Yeah, but for all we know, Ukraine's probably been right. I mean, look at our electric bills. Look at ours. Well, I mean, look at ours. You know what I'm saying? They probably do that to them too. Cost them an arm and a leg over there.
Yeah, just think about what they're doing. What Ukraine's been doing with the energy, the electricity over there is pretty much the same thing. When we were getting our electricity from a grid that's literally 500 miles away. You know what I mean? So it's going through different states and it's supplying a lot of land. And right now, I think Zelensky wants control of that to make sure that that's no longer an issue of who's getting power and who's not.
Yeah.
And I have to believe Zelensky's been using that against the Russian people for sure.
I went down and
That's probably why they've had no power in eastern Ukraine for at least a year,
Oh,
if
sure.
more.
That's crazy. And I think that's like a really big factor that's not really talked about too much. And goes, I feel like, with like every situation. We don't know the ins and outs of everything. You know what I'm saying?
We definitely, only humanitarian factor that we're aware of is what the mainstream media lets us see.
Exactly. And then, the little clips that we could find on our own from independent journalists.
And 90% of the mainstream media, it's a victim card. So
Exactly. And they word things to make it seem like, one thing could be one way, but when really it's another way.
They definitely know how to anger their constituency.
That's
I'll say
for sure.
that.
That is for sure.
I mean, they'll get them out there protesting. They may. You know what? The left has figured out a way to get gay people to go protest for Palestinians, knowing that in their country they'd be thrown off a roof.
Right.
So
it's wild. It's wild.
The hypocrisy and the illogic thinking. That's the Democratic Party, man.
Yeah.
They are the party of disorientation. I mean, they really don't.
You think donkey shit's in their Kool-Aid?
Probably.
All right.
If the donkey doesn't, Larry Nadler does.
Yeah, or Chuck Schumer.
Larry's the one known for shitting his pants. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
There's a whole nother article about it. I guess he shit himself at one of the legislative hearings.
Well, too bad we're not talking about him shitting himself on this episode.
Hey, you know what? Hey, he did it. He shit it.
He shit it.
We are continuing to follow the very latest in this breaking news, as according to Fox News, President Trump and Russian President Putin are currently speaking about how to end the war in Ukraine. There are many elements. Some of those President Trump outlined, indicating land and power plants will be part of that conversation, and saying that this conversation really is going to be about dividing up certain assets. So far, Ukrainian President Zelensky has not commented in the last.
Okay, but we do know that he's actually commented more recently.
Yeah, he has. So, because this was actually a couple of days ago from
I was going to say
video.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's basically, like I said, he's agreed. He has himself. Let's pull up that Daily Mail article, because that'll that'll pretty much explain it right there.
So we actually have now, guys. Zelensky finally reacts, and I guess he reacts with the fresh demand of after they had the conversation.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky indicated he was in favor of an energy and infrastructure ceasefire with Russia, but wants to hear more from President Donald Trump first. I count on having a conversation with President Trump. We will understand the details. We have always supported the ceasefire position and not to use any weapons against the energy infrastructure, Zelensky told reporters in an online briefing. But he said he'd hold off on a final answer until after he spoke with Trump.
I feel like that's a lie. I think he's lying to the media just to save face and make himself look like the good guy in this situation. I don't think he's
going to agree to it?
No. It's not that I don't think he's going to agree to it. I don't agree that he always wanted a ceasefire. I think he wanted this war to happen. I'm sorry.
No, he wanted. I think he was
because
when
Biden
was president, it was too much money.
Well, think about it like this, right? This gave him power, way more power than he's ever had
in his entire life.
He's an actor, right?
Pretty much. And not a very good one at that.
He's more famous than he's ever been as an actor. I didn't know who he was.
Think about that.
Right.
Think about that. Yeah. Nobody knew anything about. He was a B-rated budget actor. Him
constantly, like, every time you see him, he wears all this like wartime clothing, like he's actually in the war. Dude, you're doing photo shoots. You're trying to come here and beg us for money. At least come here dressed like a man. We don't want to see you. We know you're not in the war. You don't have to give the image off of your country being in a war when we know you're in a war. We're not dumb. So you don't have to you come here dressed like a suit and tie, like a man, bro. Like, I just don't get it. And we all know Trump and Zelensky, they haven't spoken, I guess, since their little meeting.
No.
There are some other things in here that I wanted to point out. Right here.
Zelensky was not part of Trump's conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday.
That's good,
The two leaders took the first steps toward ending the war with a partial ceasefire agreement that will be in effect for 30 days. Talks for a permanent peace will begin immediately in the Middle East, although Putin told Trump that he has several conditions he wants met in order for the fighting to end.
Okay. So, and to me, that makes sense on both ends. Even if Zelensky said, I have conditions, everyone should have conditions when they want to.
Well, yeah, and they should bring them to the table and they should negotiate and discuss them.
Exactly, like leave my people alone.
I just hope all sides don't think they're all walking away with everything.
No, for sure, because it's not going to happen.
without a triple crown, we're not going to have this.
And Zelensky owes us.
There has to
Ukraine
be-
owes
there
us.
Yeah, I mean, we got to have a win-win-win situation here.
All right, so let's see. So,
Let me ask you this. I mean,
yeah.
I think it was a good idea that Trump and Putin did not include Zelensky.
I do too. Now that I think
because
about it.
I'm not sure that Zelensky would have been able to, because he could even sit there and let JD Vance give him some honest, some honest critical criticism. He constructive criticism, but he could not handle. Oh, I could imagine what would have been like if he was on that phone call.
So when I first thought about it, I was like,
I think Zelensky would have blew it. Honestly.
Yeah,
I think.
and now that I look at it, I think the same thing. I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't, because if Trump's going to do this and he's going to stop this war from going on any longer, I really feel like it's best to have a talk with Putin by himself, then have a talk with Zelensky by himself, and when them two are ready to talk and negotiate with each other, then you bring them together. But now, during the war and everything, heads are hot, everybody's still fighting, and everything's still going on. I think it's better for Trump to just mediate it and talk to both of them separately.
Bird, go down to the part where he talks about going to the Middle East and trying to. There's a part in there where they're going to try to resolve this in the Middle East.
Okay, hold on. I think it was right here. Oh yeah, right here.
Okay, because that's
Talks
important.
for a permanent peace will begin immediately in the Middle East, although Putin told Trump that he has several conditions he wants met in order for the fighting to end. The leaders agreed that the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire, as well as technical negotiations on implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea, full ceasefire, and permanent peace. These negotiations will begin immediately in the Middle East, the White House said in its readout of the call.
There you go. Yeah,
I like
there
that.
You go. They're not even waiting, dude. That's all going to start right away.
Right.
So that means Trump is probably going to be heading over to the Middle East. It didn't say what country they were going to, though, did it?
No, it just said the Middle East, and I'll guarantee they did that.
They probably did that on purpose. They don't want anybody to know.
I could imagine it'll probably be something like Israel or something like that.
Or even maybe Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, something like that. Somebody who's more of an ally to us.
There's a part on here about the British troops and Keir Starmer committing to. That's at the end, right?
I believe so.
So basically, what we have here is.
Oh wait, actually, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. Right here, it says right here. The leader spoke broadly about the Middle East as a region of potential cooperation to prevent future conflicts. The White House said the U.S. has hosted separate talks with Ukraine and Russia officials in Saudi Arabia. So you're right. It's probably going to take place in Saudi Arabia.
It appears to be the case.
Which I'm cool with, because they're one of our allies. You know what I mean?
They're one of our allies. They also have really nice, beautiful cities, and
right.
I mean, it'll be a very pleasant experience for all involved.
Right.
And at the very least, a pleasant experience in their stay there. Hopefully, they resolve it. Now, it looks to me if they don't resolve it, that's what takes us to this part with Keir Starmer.
Okay.
What did he exactly say again?
I forget what it was. I remember we were watching it the other day, though, when you were over here.
I think if we go down a little bit, it's on the bottom. It's on the last paragraph section. But what did Donald Trump say about this first? Let's get his take right there.
So Donald Trump, he actually let's do this. They caught him right afterwards, and this was yesterday actually. Right before, so this was him just talking about what's going to happen.
Actually,
Mr. President, there's been some discussion about potentially meeting with Putin in your administration. If there is a peace deal signed, would you be open to inviting Putin to the White House?
well, I don't want to really even discuss it. I've got to get the deal signed. 2,000 people a week sometimes are killed, and we have to get that agreement signed. But that's the only thing I think about.
Are you confident that?
I mean, listen.
I like that. That's he just wants to stop the killing, man.
So does that sound like a dictator? Does that sound like a socialist? Does that sound like somebody who wants to control the world? They don't
No,
want world peace. Dictators want chaos around the world because that's how they keep control.
I mean, even if he is trying, let's just hypothetically say that Donald Trump is trying to take over the world.
Right.
Well, let's say, okay, well,
He
he's
wants
trying to do
world
it.
peace.
He wants to do it with world peace and prosperity. I mean, well, shit, that's a hell of a lot better than the alternative.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Who wants to just
You could
rob
have-
us
you-
for
here-
everything?
Here you go. You could have a lifetime of war, chaos, and destruction, or you could have peace and prosperity, but you're stuck with Donald Trump for a while. I'm cool with it.
And you know what?
I'm cool with it.
You know what the
I'm
craziest
not saying
thing?
we should change the 22nd Amendment or anything, but if they did, I would vote for him a third time.
Right.
It would be the fourth, actually.
And here's what people don't understand. Like God, that's what God's about. God might have caused the wraths and everything, but He did what He had to do. You know what I'm saying? But He wants peace. He wants
Yeah, let's
everybody to live in peace.
Let's remember, God doesn't always choose the best fortitude of moral virtue of the people that He has chosen to lead.
Right.
Either. If you look back at David, look back
Yeah.
at Moses.
Look at Cain and Abel.
Okay, yeah, David in particular, I mean, he was a little whoremongering, he took out Goliath. Imagine being 16 years old.
Yeah.
You kill the biggest guy in the Philistine army. Dude, he was getting more ass than a bicycle seat. Are you kidding me? He was not the godliest person on the planet. All right,
No, for sure.
But God chose him
Yeah.
to lead his people to the house of David. Well, Donald Trump, obviously, his history's all on film, so there's no denying.
Right.
He's been married 3 times. He's not the best husband in the world.
No, but none of us are perfect.
No, nobody's perfect.
And it's
He's
funny
definitely-
because I'm not sure if this is 1,000% true, but I've been hearing about Obama and Michelle are about to get a divorce. Does that make him as terrible of a person as Trump as they like to say he is?
No, what makes Obama a terrible person is all those lives that he destroyed.
Well, his socialism.
And his socialism and all the lives that he managed to destroy because they disagreed with him.
It's funny when people ask me what I don't like about Obama, and then they're like, "Yeah, I agree with you." Actually, the thing I didn't like the most about Obama, well, I didn't like the drone strikes that he was doing on innocent people. I did not like that. But I didn't like that he was trying to charge us if we didn't have health care. I feel like that's corrupt. And
that was very corrupt. That was to force everybody onto the national health care system.
Exactly. And my reasoning for that is because people say like, oh, well, you have to have insurance to drive. Yeah, but what they're not understanding is driving is a privilege, whereas opposed to living is living.
Yeah, living really isn't a privilege.
No, it is a privilege.
You could have your privileges of life taken away.
It's a privilege from God.
Freedom.
It's a privilege from God. It's not a privilege from the government.
Right. The only time the government's involved is if you break their laws.
Right, exactly. So let's get back on topic. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on it.
Yeah, it happens.
So Donald Trump, he's finally spoken on Truth Social, and this was, what time is it right now? I believe it's like 8:45 here. So this was about 5 hours ago, give or take, when he finally responded. So let's hear what he has to say.
My phone conversation today with President Putin of Russia was a very good and productive one. We agreed to an immediate ceasefire on all energy and infrastructure, with an understanding that we will be working quickly to have a complete ceasefire and, ultimately, an end to this very horrible war between Russia and Ukraine. This war would have never started if I were president. Many elements of a contract for peace were discussed, including the fact that thousands of soldiers are being killed, and both President Putin and President Zelensky would like to see it end. That process is now in full force and effect, and we will, hopefully, for the sake of humanity, get the job done.
I love it. I mean, what is wrong with that? How could anybody see that? You know what? I'll guarantee if you took Donald Trump's name away from this and put Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez
or Barack Obama,
or even Michelle Obama, or you put fucking who else is there? Gavin Newsom. You put any of these Democrats that are known, that they would be all for it. But that's what I'm saying. The left is in such a bubble of a mindset that they're literally told what to think, and they agree with everything.
Yeah, their TDS has actually gotten the best of them.
It really has.
I honestly, dude, there's a lot of Democrats I don't think who are ever going to be able to come back from their TDS. I think Donald Trump, he's in his late 70s, going to be in his early 80s, and they're going to still be bitching about this man long after he's no longer president.
Oh, they're not going to care. They're still going to. They're still going to.
As a matter of fact, I mean, they have defined themselves. They have defined themselves basically as the party that just hates Donald Trump.
And it's so weird to me, bro.
And now they hate Elon Musk too.
Yeah, and they only hate him because they're not on their side anymore. They were once on their side and not anymore.
When Elon was giving money to Joey B, they had no problem with him.
Right. Man, it's crazy. So Double D, before we get into this, let's talk about our friends here at the NRS. Let's talk about the NRS. The NRS is the #1 retail solution that your small business needs. The NRS customized point of sale system will help speed up checkout, simplify inventory management, and they even offer a secure NRS payment with credit card processing. For more information, please contact William R. Anderson Jr., the authorized NRS distributor, or go to their website, www.wrajrplus.com. Again, that address is www.wrajrplus.com. Or just give them a call at 216-260-4906. Again, that number is 216-260-4906. And please make sure to let them know that the Conservative Bird and Double D sent you. Okay, welcome back. Now, our next topic of subject for our topic is AOC. So,
AOC.
Apparently, from what I've been hearing, is AOC is the new front runner as the face of the Democratic Party. How is this possible? She says nothing of substance. She's angry. Her constituents don't even like her in her own district.
But they keep voting for her, though.
It's so weird.
For her.
And I thought, when the election happened and then they re-voted her in and voted for Donald Trump, I thought for one split second that she had a eye-opening experience, because she said something. She said, the one thing I noticed is my constituents voted for me and voted for Trump, which means they're anti-government. But no, you're part of the establishment, and that's what she doesn't seem to understand. It's like when you have like a moment like that where it's like, okay, something is happening and I'm seeing it for what it actually is, but then you go turn around and just and are the way you actually are is just weird to me.
She actually had constituents that she was when she was on X or whatever, or she was, having conversations on X.
Like doing a live stream?
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to find them. But there were comments being made by her own constituents that the reason they voted for her and Donald Trump is because they truly believe that both her and Donald Trump cared about them and cared about the people. And you know what? If anything, AOC should take that as a compliment, because she actually convinced her constituency, who I'm sure are not certain about her capabilities, only because she really hasn't accomplished anything while she's been in Washington, other than keeping herself on social media and getting likes and hits.
Exactly.
But her constituency believes that she genuinely gives a shit about them, and if she's smart, she'll run with that.
Right, but I don't. That's the thing, though. Double D, she's not smart.
She's not smart, and let that clip roll. This'll tell us.
So what's in this clip, by the way, before we get into it?
This is the one where they basically say that AOC
is the face.
She's the face of the Democratic Party. She is their new poster child, according to this video.
They're so scared of what's going to happen in 2028 that they had to do this. Let's check it out.
Yeah, let that clip roll.
Republicans have the White House, the Senate, and the House. if they want to do this, and if they want to screw over the American people, they can do this with their votes and their party.
The question Democrats have confronted since Election Day is, who actually is leading their party? Well, a new CNN poll out this morning gives us a sense of who Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters think best aligns with their party.
So we have Barack Obama and Hakeem Jeffries. Why is Barack Obama even being on here? Because
Well, I think because it says reflects the core values of the Democratic Party. Basically, everybody on there are all descendants of that ideology.
So, in all honesty, I'm surprised that Hakeem Jeffries is over Obama because all he is Barack Obama light.
Well, yeah, but that thing is Hakeem Jeffries can still run for president, though.
Yeah,
Barack
yeah.
can't.
Right.
So that's why. I mean, they're saying Barack is the value of the Democrat, or the core values of it, that his values reflect the Democratic Party best, but he can't run again. So it really doesn't matter what his values reflect. But for the purpose of this poll, it lets us know what their identity is. We know the Democrats' identity. Their core values are becoming obvious.
How could anybody pick Jasmine Crockett at all? 4%. That doesn't make any sense to me, right?
I think if they just did a if they would have just did a 4-person poll instead of polling up, because Jasmine Crockett, nobody even knows who she is for the most part.
She puts on this fake persona, and it's not even really who she is, and people don't understand it.
Until she did that goofy ass dance, I didn't know who the hell she was.
Yeah, I just would see her in random clips and everything, and I remember seeing her and what's her name, MTG and I think Nancy Mace. They all got in an argument with each other on Congress a couple months ago, and I made a video about it on my other channel.
She reminds me more of angry black woman from In Living Color.
Right, but the crazy thing is, like, that's not who she was. She's just putting on this character like that's who she is. I've seen videos of her. She's very well spoken. Yeah, she's been I've seen videos of her. She's well spoken. She doesn't and now she's acting like she's just like gangster from LA or something. Like, no, dude, quit that shit.
She's trying to land a role, dude. Right. I don't even know why they have her name up there for president, because I don't think that woman's even thinking about presidency. She's thinking about the Hollywood story of her life. All right. She's definitely thinking about being one of the fucking actors of it. All right. It's obvious where she's coming from. She's not. I don't even take Jasmine Crockett seriously, and I'm not sure that she takes herself seriously.
Too bad we can't just erase her name off of it.
Well, yeah, because she doesn't even belong on the list. Because let's be honest, she's not running for president unless it's in a movie. Yeah, she's not running for president.
Very true. All right, let's get back to it.
These core values, and that's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
so wild,
Democrat and progressive firebrand, who was furious at Senate Democrats for allowing the GOP spending bill to become law. Now, it all comes as a slew of potential Democratic presidential candidates are already testing the waters for 2028. My panel is back. So just to look at a little bit more in this poll, the question about who best reflects the core values of the Democratic Party, if you break down among age group, perhaps no surprise, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a few people who are younger than 45, 15% say that she does. That's more.
At least some of the older Democrats are a little bit smarter.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think AOC is smarter than Kamala and Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh, without a doubt.
I don't think she's smarter than Bernie Sanders. That guy, I don't agree with a word that comes out of his mouth.
No, I don't agree with Bernie either.
But I'm never going to discredit his ability and his cognition.
I'm going to do a whole podcast of me talking like Bernie Sanders the whole time.
Well, I mean, the one thing about Bernie is, I mean, he is part of the geriatric mafia.
Yeah.
Right up there with Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Joey B. I mean, even Barack Obama is becoming part of the geriatric mafia now.
Very true.
And the one thing I've noticed about them is they're not budging on their failed ideology. Their ideology has failed them, but it's made them failed them as far as their quest for the presidency.
Yeah.
But honestly, AOC, she's threatening. She could probably get the nomination. She won't be old enough, I don't think, in
No, not yet.
28. So I don't
Yeah,
think
because
she'll
she's
be
still
old
young,
enough yet.
correct? She's still like in her
Yeah,
late 20s.
early 30s. She's in her early 30s, I believe.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to it.
I believe she was 26 when she got elected. It's been 6 years, so she would be 32.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
you know what? No, she would be old enough. She
Yeah.
would be old enough. She's allowed to run at 35 as long as she turns 36 in office.
There you go.
So true, but she ain't gonna win though.
No.
You know what I mean?
I don't see.
But she's their best star. She's the best they got.
I think,
So.
I think that's actually sad that she's the best they got. I think that's kind of pathetic because
It is.
she's not a good politician. She does nothing but do things based on emotion. She
And
has
from my
no fact or
understanding, she
logic.
wasn't a good bartender either.
I wouldn't doubt it. She seems very smug and arrogant.
She does. She probably felt like she was too good to be serving those people their drinks.
Harris, and she's still people above 45% doing reasonably well. Now, just to be clear, there are a lot of voters who did not offer a response. 30% of voters didn't offer a name in response of who aligns with the Democratic Party's core values. But what's your reaction to that? AOC, the progressive, one-time firebrand of the party, still a firebrand.
Yeah.
Representing the core values of the Democratic
I
Party.
noticed that Chuck Schumer's name wasn't on that at all.
They're trying to do away with the geriatric
Congresswoman is
mafia,
clearly
aren't they?
tapping into
Hopefully they
something
get rid
across
of.
the Democratic base.
Here's the thing, man. I don't know about it because the younger ones are worse.
Oh yeah, no, dude, she's totally like she's a far bigger socialist than she's right up there with Bernie Sanders as far as socialist ideals go.
It's crazy.
But bottom line is she's the face of the party right now, or at least she's the best they got. Well, can you play that clip where she's with Jon Stewart?
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll watch that one right here.
Yeah, let's
check.
This is
and this was a month ago, by the way. So this is her letting people know that they don't know that the Democratic Party has no face because they don't have no policy, they don't have anything. They just literally do things based on raw feelings and emotions.
Yeah, she'll basically it's almost like she's trying to question and that she just never knew. Well, watch it. You'll see what I'm talking about. She's trying to play the clueless role.
Okay.
The response, instead of being more full-throated and telling people how they're being conned, is to kind of just like be quiet about it and to go along with it.
So let's take your energy, let's take the passion that you have for these issues, and let's think about, because right now the Democrats are almost fully defined by their positions on Trump, as opposed to
I disagree
people
with that.
are thirsty for a leader.
Wait, okay, what did he say exactly again?
He basically says that the Democratic Party right now is their identity is that they hate Trump.
It is.
I mean, I agree, but I disagree.
I don't know.
I agree that identity is what they use as their weapon, but their true identity is that they hate America.
Yeah.
They hate capitalism. They hate anything that's normal or traditional about America.
They hate rich.
They hate race.
They hate rich
is
people.
about gender.
Exactly.
They hate rich people, even though they're both very wealthy. They only hate rich people when it's beneficial to hate rich people. When all those big tech billionaires were donating to their funds and their coffers 2 years ago, she certainly was singing a different tune. Now she's trying to play it off like she doesn't know where their identity is. I'm going to let her finish telling us.
Leadership. And the Democrats, I think, have had a really difficult time responding to that thirst, responding to that action. So what is the process then of redefining what this party is, what it represents moving forward? And are there leaders there? It is sclerotic. I mean, it is a party in...
Okay, pause that for a second. There's the arrogance of the Democratic Party right there.
Right.
It's sclerotic. He looked up that word, right? He had to look that word up. But he had to make sure that he put up there that it's unable or reluctant to adapt or compromise. Like nobody, like obviously they must feel that their listeners and their audience and the rest of the Democratic Party is so stupid that they didn't know what sclerotic would mean.
Right. I didn't know what it meant.
They are condescending, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a very condescending party. That's the problem. They don't see it.
Yeah.
They think that we're the problem because we don't agree with what they're. It's like, no, you pushed us away. The moment they started cutting off our sons' testicles, our daughters' breasticles, and started telling us there were 85 genders, that's
when things went haywire.
They went way too far.
They went way too far. And
when they were talking about social justice, when they were talking about racism, yeah, I didn't like to hear it. Most Americans didn't want to hear it, but it did force us to look at it and take a look inward at ourselves. And I think because of that experience in the last Trump administration, we have become the party of inclusivity. We are the party that welcomes patriots and we welcome everybody. You want to come over on this side, you can join the Trump train.
As long as you want to hold the proper American values.
That's right. As long as you're not trying to do away with our American values. That's right. And it really is that simple. And Jon Stewart should be ashamed of himself.
So wait,
if he really thinks that he needs to explain to his audience, well, that doesn't say a whole lot for all those pointy-head elitist assholes with all the education. Now,
very true. So he's saying this about the Democratic Party, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I agree with him. They have no ability to compromise. It's either do it exactly how we say, we don't care, or it's nothing. Because look,
they're elitist assholes. They're too busy telling us how to live.
Look at how they vote, right? On core issues, things like how men playing in women's sports. Look at how many Democrats voted for it.
They did, and even the ones who disagreed with it voted for it because they were told to.
Right, exactly. It's all.
Gavin Newsom admitted that he doesn't think that it's an unfair advantage. But he's still going to vote for those policies. I guarantee it.
Oh, without a doubt.
AOC can act like she doesn't know what their identity is. She's the fucking poster child for their identity.
And in all honesty, they all have the same identity, and that's what's wrong. They have no independent thinking. They all think exactly the same way for the most part.
That's right. You had 22 people write the same exact statement about Donald Trump just a couple days ago.
Right.
22 of them write the same, or 23. I'm sorry, it was 23.
And you see so
you're going to tell me out of 23 people, not one of them could think of a different word to use?
Right. Exactly, and that's what's wrong, because it's almost like they get a chain email sent to them, and it's like, here, say this verbatim.
Exactly, they're in such lockstep. It's insane.
I'm going to put up the definition of verbatim down low just so our viewers know.
I think our viewers know.
Yeah,
that's the good thing about conservatism. Common sense language is easy to understand in our side. So.
I'll pull a Jon Stewart. What maybe we'll start doing that on all, but we'll just start putting the definitions for like normal words like the. And we'll put the definition for it. Like, dude, this is like, to me, and although I agree with this is very smug and arrogant to put this.
That's all that is. That was total condescension.
You didn't have,
I mean, that was the most condescending thing he could have did to his audience. I'm actually insulted, and I'm on the other side, and I'm insulted. Like, I agree with what he's saying.
All he had to do,
he's an asshole about how he conveys his message.
Here's the way he could have worded this, right? They have no ability to adapt or compromise. There you go. You could have said that, right? And all your viewers would have known to where you didn't have to make them feel like they're less than because you had to put the meaning to a word that you probably didn't even know.
No, he Googled that before they started that conversation. I guarantee you he has that written down in his notebook in front of him right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He doesn't do anything improv. Jon Stewart hasn't been able to do anything improv since his 40s. He's a no-talent dipshit, man. Yeah, dipshits and dumb fuckery. That's what the Democratic Party is.
Let's give them a word that some people might not know. He's a dolt idiot. He's a dolt.
Yep.
He's a dolt.
Real confusion. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I can't put my finger on. It reminds me of the Republicans in 2012, where there was just, when Trump came into that first 2016 primary, I mean, he just like flicking his finger, not Jeb Bush. Yeah, nice. Boom, done. Like,
Yeah.
and I
That's
think
exactly
the
what he
Democrats
did,
are
too.
vulnerable.
Okay.
Okay, so that's pretty much it right there. Obviously, he
Yeah.
was going to start talking about how they're vulnerable to, losing and what have you. But Donald Trump did change the face of the Republican Party. He certainly did. The Democrats have refused to let anybody come in and do that. I believe people like John Fetterman, that's what he's trying to do right as we speak.
Right.
John Fetterman is trying to take them to the middle, to a more common sense direction. And he's being hit with
Isn't it funny?
I'm sure they're plotting to get rid of him already.
Isn't it funny though that the guy that has the strokes and the guy that like seemed like he wasn't all the way there, once he finally comes to a little bit, it's like all common sense now with him?
Yeah. Well, because he sees it, because life's too short to be diving into all the impossibles and taking on ideologies and processes that aren't going to work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Whenever you take a failed ideology and you intertwine it into your own, and you're not willing to let that go, people see right through that.
1,000%. They see right through it.
Yeah, the American people saw through the bullshit. And AOC, this is what I'm going to say to AOC. AOC, you are the face of the Democratic Party today. I don't think you're going to change. I don't think your ideology is going to change. You're going to continue that failed ideology. You will be their poster child for idiocracy. Yeah, this is what it is. She doesn't want to admit that she is the face of the Democratic Party. She was hoping it was someone else.
That's very true, because
that's the fact. She was hoping it was someone else.
I don't want to say I don't think she wants the spotlight. I just don't think she wants that much of the spotlight. I don't think she's going to be able to handle the pressure.
Well, she doesn't want the accountability that comes with it.
No, for sure. She's not going to be able to handle the pressure at all. If you ask me, this is my personal belief. I feel like she could easily be broken down by say she were to debate Trump. Or let's say she can't debate Trump, in 4 years, and she is.
Let's say she debates J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance is going to eat her up.
Dude, he's going to skewer her and barbecue her ass. It'll be over.
It'll be crazy. So
first of all, she's not even educated. So, she has, she has a bachelor's degree in sociology or some shit. I don't even know what she has it in. All I know is before she was a congresswoman, she was a bartender. So whatever that degree was in, like most of our degrees, it was probably just as useless.
She has a degree in mixology.
Yeah, well, she found a way to actually make money, and that was to join politics.
Yep.
Took her a couple of months to figure out what a dish disposal was, or a
garbage disposal.
Yeah, the garbage disposal. Took her a few minutes to figure that out, or a few days or whatever.
She'll adapt.
But she adapted. Yeah, she did. She figured it out. Now she's the poster child for the Democratic Party and a possible candidate for their nomination as president.
Okay.
You know what? Did I just say that?
Yeah, that's sad.
How did I do that with a straight face? Honestly,
I'm gonna have to cut.
Can't even.
I'm gonna have to cut you off. I'm gonna have to cut you off of the podcast now. You're done.
I know.
Okay, so you know what? That's actually a good transition for us for the last topic we're going to talk about today.
Oh yeah, we're going to
nominations.
We're talking about Vivek, right?
Yep. So the next nomination for governor of Ohio, and
he has our endorsement.
Yes,
remember, Double D and the conservative bird endorse Vivek Ramaswamy for governor of Ohio.
Exactly. So let's transition into this. This isn't anything other than him announcing his run for governor.
And he lays out. I was going to say he kind of lays out a little bit of his plan too in the next video.
Yep.
His allies is reportedly planning to run for governor of Ohio. Vivek Ramaswamy is reportedly leaving his position with the Department of Government Efficiency to launch his campaign. A source telling NBC News Ramaswamy realized over the last week that pursuing the governor's race and running Doge were not compatible. However, they say he is leaving the job on good terms with President Trump and Elon Musk, who he was set to co-lead that department with.
I love it. And ever since we heard that, we've been waiting to see what what his plans are, what he really wants to do. He did talk a little bit about it, and we kind of knew.
The leaders can follow.
Sorry, we kind of knew about his plans with, wanting to get rid of income tax and everything else. But he
lays out a pretty good plan, I think. And you notice you'll see. I think he keeps it pretty simple too.
Yeah, and there's that. I feel like I think that's where we get wrong in a lot of things in government. We can't keep things simple. For example, do you remember when when Biden was still in office and they had the border deal in line, right? And and the Republicans voted against it. Now the mainstream media wanted us to think that they voted against it because they want Trump to be the one to do it. But number one, you can't hire the people that broke it to fix it too.
No, you definitely do not. That's like having a plumber come to your house, take all your copper, and then you're going to pay the same plumber to come in and put the PVC in.
Right, like that doesn't make any sense.
You know what I mean? Look,
number two is
it's like leaving the hen house to the foxes.
Right. Number two, there was so much spending porn in that bill for things that had nothing to do with the border. For example, us protecting our border isn't us protecting Ukraine's border, and that was the biggest thing.
The Democrats have made that very clear.
Yeah.
And I think America's made it very clear to them how we actually feel about that idea. So
exactly. So we have Vivek, and he was on Hannity the other night, and he kind of broke down basically what he wants to do, his plans of actually implementing things. So let's get into it.
Let the clip
Trump
roll,
model bring the same vision to their jurisdictions, including our next guest, who wants to bring the state into the fold of the few proud places in the country where there will be zero state income tax. His name, Vivek Ramaswamy, candidate for governor. Great state, Buckeye State of Ohio. I got to give you a lot of credit. A lot of people, they watch Donald Trump, but they don't seem to learn a thing. And when I heard your proposal, I said, he gets it. Yeah. Americans, the people of Ohio, they want bold, limited government, greater freedom, and they don't want the burden of government smothering their lives the way it is.
That's right, Sean. I'm going to lead Ohio to be a zero income tax state. We're going to get rid of the income tax because at the end of the day, it is your money, not the government's, and you deserve to keep what you earn. President Trump is being ambitious at the federal level. We need leaders at the state level who are going to be equally ambitious as governors. And I say this from a state, the state of Ohio, that sent the first man to walk on the moon, Sean. This won't be the greatest feat that Ohio has ever achieved. There have been greater feats accomplished in human history. It's relatively straightforward, but what we actually need is a governor with the spine to see that
accomplished
through.
A lot.
I agree with them. We do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike DeRhino has no spino. And I think that's the problem. He was a governor to me that would always take one or two steps forward, but then would take 8 steps back. You know what I mean?
That's what he's doing with that whole that's what DeWine's doing right now with that whole marijuana thing in Ohio, man. He's trying to screw over the cities now for money and rewrite it. Right. That's a discussion for another day. But
yeah, we were talking about that earlier. How they want to up the percentage from 10% to 20%, but
as far as taxes,
but cut the percentage amount of money that the cities are actually getting. So which means
where the dispensaries are, which
means more federal money for the feds. You know what I'm saying? Instead of money going back in our pockets.
For local Ohioans, there is a Cleveland.com article about that was very recent in the last couple of days. If you want to take a look on there and see what Mike DeWine's trying to push off by July 1st. Fortunately, He's going to be replaced by our dude Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yes.
So this is just that little their little marijuana thing is a little hiccup that they're going to have to figure that out. I neither condone nor do I, discredit or discourage. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a libertarian.
Yeah.
I'm a true libertarian. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To each his own.
But I will call government out when I think that they're doing something shady. And
it's like an overreach, honestly.
Anyway, our audience, if you get a chance, take a look at that article in Cleveland.com.
Yeah, but I like
you can make comments on it later. But I think Vivek's our guy.
I do too. I like what he's saying. I like the way I like the way he handles himself. He doesn't get overly emotional with things. He just kind of keeps things cool, calm, and collective, and breaks down what he's actually talking about.
He's very good at that.
Yep. All right, let's get back into it.
The Cincinnati
That's right,
Reds
exactly.
back in
In
the
a
day, they
championship
accomplished
year.
a lot too. Yeah.
That's right? If we want to be a championship team, let's play like one. And the reason I'm saying this now, Sean, to be super frank about this, is I want families across the country to know, to put you on notice, you are able to come to Ohio, even if it takes you a couple years to get here. We're going to be a zero income tax state. So I want businesses coming back here. I want people moving back into the state. I don't want to take anything for granted, but it appears highly likely that I'm going to be the governor before very long. And when I'm governor,
number one, I love the confidence.
Yeah, I do too.
I love the
he
confidence.
knows it. I mean, like I said, dude, unless he does something really stupid, I think he's absolutely correct. He's the next governor of Ohio, regardless.
Yeah, and if this goes through, no income tax. If he starts lowering the property taxes and does all this, we're gonna be the Florida of the Midwest for real.
Oh, absolutely. And if he just keeps 3 of those promises and gets them through, he succeeded.
Yeah, for sure. And I think
those are 3 major things, man. Property taxes, income taxes, and making our educational system number 1 again. If he could do those 3, you know what? Put us in the top 10 with education. I'll take that.
Yeah, for sure.
I will.
The thing I think
being in the bottom.
I think the thing that people don't realize, like when you vote for like a governor or a president, you're not going to agree with everything they do. Not everything they do is going to be like a home run for you, but you got to hope that the good outweighs the bad. And
I don't
with
agree
Trump,
with everything Trump's doing.
Right,
so,
with Trump right now, to me, the good is outweighing the bad that he does.
Absolutely, I agree with that. The positive push forwards that he's making, and the
peace treaties and everything.
Peace, these things are far more important. So
very, very important.
No one human being can solve every problem.
Exactly, and that's why, like Vivek said, you need people. You got Trump doing it on a federal level. Now you need people doing it on a state level,
and hopefully it's going to work.
And hopefully one day, hey, somebody like me and you, we could do it on the local level. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. We're doing it right now, Bird. We are doing it on the local level.
Right. So it's like
we're keeping our people informed about what's going on here.
Right. It's all about the proper messaging and actually hitting on it. You know what I'm saying? You talk it and then you do it, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Well, my primary objective when it comes to Ohio is, I'm Ohio first. There's no question about it. I am a Buckeye through and through, and I love my state. And I love the fact that we finally have a personality who's charismatic, who can talk to the people. I mean, I don't believe we've ever had that in my lifetime in this state. No. I can't think of one governor. I can't think of one.
No, I can't either.
I can think of a mayor or two, like Mayor White, Mayor Michael White. Brilliant. He would have been a great governor one day, and he's a Democrat, and he would have made a good governor, had he not gotten in trouble.
Who was the more recent mayor before
I didn't
Bibby?
mean to bring that up.
Who was the mayor before Bibby?
Before who? Before Bibb?
Yeah,
Frank Jackson.
Yeah, he was not a good mayor.
12 years of disaster.
Disaster, dude. Did you see his grandkids were terrorizing the east side, dude. It was wild.
They finally had to kill the one, man. They finally ended up shooting that dude. Like,
well, they would go take, because of who their grandpa was, they would just go into the police stations, take pictures with guns on top of the police cars and shit. Like, how are you? If that was my grandkids, I'm snatching them up by the back of their necks.
I say, if I did that shit when my grandfather was alive, I jumped on a police car with a handgun, waving it around. He'd have pistol whipped me with it.
Exactly, dude. It's just
I
wild.
guarantee it. He would have whooped my ass with it.
Right. All right. Let's get back. We're kind of getting off subject, but it's cool because that's what we do here.
That's what we do.
We have discussions. We have discussions and we talk about things.
That's right. We talk about shit, man. That's what we do.
So let's get back into what Vivek has to talk about.
Let's finish up with Vivek. Let's finish up with him.
We're going to bring down that income tax. Yep. So I want everybody across the country to know we're going to be one of those zero income tax states. So as much as our friends here, many of them for good reasons, spend 6 months in a day in Florida or Tennessee or other states, I want to repatriate some of those people back to our own home state of Ohio. And that's what we're going to do.
By the way, it's a bit of a myth. If you come from a state like New York, they want to tax you every day. They will come after you with a vengeance. You have to cut that cord so hard that they can never come after you.
And you know the crazy thing about that is too that it's so expensive to live in New York. You literally you get no space for so much money, dude. You get nothing for so much money, and you get nothing.
My friend Tony lives across the street from Madison Square Garden. Okay, he
Right.
lives across the street from there. He's I don't want to. He's a school teacher in New York. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay,
but he because I don't want to put him in any positions. But dude, his apartment. My theater room is bigger than his apartment.
Oh, dude, I've seen so many videos.
What our audience is looking at right now is bigger than Tony's apartment.
Listen, everybody in the audience, if you can, just go on YouTube and look up tiny apartments in New York, and you'll be like, "Whoa!" And then they'll tell you like,
live in closets there, dude."
Right? And then they'll tell you they're paying like $1,300 a month, $1,500 a month just to live there, and they get literally no space. Dude, nothing. Like, they have to fold their beds up, fold the couch down, like everything, dude. It is crazy how expensive New York is.
All their belongings go up in a little loft above their bathroom.
And then you walk
which
around,
is taking up part of their space of their room.
Right. Then you walk around the city and there's just rats everywhere.
Yeah, well, I've been to New York a lot. I've only seen a couple of sewer rats in my time there. I'll be honest, I saw more big ass roaches there everywhere than I did rats.
My buddy went to
and I don't want to just New York, but man, they got some big ass roaches there.
No, yeah, my buddy went to Gutfeld a couple years ago, and he was like, "Dude, it was like I seen so many rats everywhere, dude. It was crazy."
Oh, dude, when you go in the little alleyways by the garbage and shit, I avoid that.
Yeah,
I mean, just I guess I take for granted living in a city that's fairly clean.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We live in Cleveland, so I know a bunch of rats myself.
But most of them have a D at the end of their name.
Yeah, that's very true.
I had to take my shot at the left. I got to do it every time.
All right, let's get back to it.
It doesn't matter. I'm never gonna stop beating on them.
That's great. Let's get back to it.
I mean, that, 6 months on a date thing doesn't work when you have, first you'll have people like Andrew Cuomo say, if you're one of those New Yorkers that's pro-life and pro-Second Amendment, you're not a New Yorker. There's no place.
Yo, no lie, he did a really good Andrew Cuomo. He did a great Andrew Cuomo right there.
Hilarious.
That was a great.
Amendment, you're probably not a
Because he puts like the little speech problem on it a little bit. Dude, that was great.
Yeah, the little impediment, the little Bronx impediment.
Yeah, I love it.
Place for you in the state of New York.
Next time I go to New York.
Yeah, right. They're not going to like us very much.
They're probably going to stop me at the tunnel. Like, bitch, you ain't coming over here. Andrew Cuomo will be standing at the Lincoln Tunnel. You like the Second Amendment. I don't think I can let you here.
We'd rather our people just get stabbed and burned on the subway. That's all.
Yeah.
Crazy. And Kathy Hochul, Lee Zeldin, Trump, get on a bus, go down to Florida. All right, so I go to Florida. And then all the tax people want to chase me down and take my money, so I have to stay down here. But in all seriousness, a lot of people ask the question, okay, how do you make up for that revenue? Now, Reagan cut taxes, doubled revenues in 8 years to the federal government, and gave us 21 million new jobs in the longest period of peacetime economic growth until the first 3 years of Donald Trump. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, you really nailed that, Sean. Economic growth is the answer that everybody forgets. We're going to have a second industrial revolution worth of a boom in Ohio if we get rid of that regulatory state, downsize government, and actually get to a zero income tax state so people are moving into the state rather than out. That alone is an economic win. Combine that with a lot of the elimination of waste, fraud, abuse. You're seeing that at the federal level, as I believe we're going to have to see at the states. That's how you actually lift up an economy in a lasting way. Look, in the long run, I'm of the school of thought, Sean, that in the very long run in the United States, I'd like to see the elimination of the income tax across the United States of America. It was only in 1913 that we adopted an income tax. For most of our national history, we didn't have one. I want Americans across the board to be able to keep as much.
I just don't understand why we have to get taxed to go to work. Like, we're doing the right thing, and they want to tax us to go do it.
Well, who's going to pay for all the bureaucrats to run all those different agencies?
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Where are they going to get the money from? Because money don't grow on trees, unless you're Joey B. Apparently, in his world, it does.
Or Vladimir Zelensky.
Yeah, Vladimir Zelensky. Well, I guess it does grow on trees for that guy.
Yeah.
And it's an American oak, that's for sure. His money grows on American oak trees.
I wonder if he just has a stat.
And on the backs of the American worker.
I wonder if when he got the check, he Scrooge McDuck into all the money.
Who knows? I know this, so I'd sure like to see the paper trail that comes out of his bank account right now, though.
I would too, honestly. All right, we got about a.
You know what? Trump should ask him for that. Show us the money. He should go Jerry Maguire on his ass and make him show him the money.
I would. Show me the money.
That's right. Cuba Gooding on him.
Oh, yeah. All right, we got about a minute left on this one. Let's watch it.
Much of what they earn, so they have an incentive to work, an incentive to achieve. But I do think in the next step, a lot of states are going to have to step up and lead the way. We're going to do our part in Ohio, and I want to see a population boom of attracting people back into the state, as I expect we're going to start to see, frankly, even in the next 18 months, and then hopefully even longer after we then implement that in my first year in office.
Listen, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to compete with my free state of Florida. I'm betting on my state, but you can come in number 2. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that.
And we love your state, Sean. In fact, we got to learn some lessons, like the zero tax lesson.
Yeah,
we're bringing that over
now.
Here.
Now, Governor DeSantis is talking about dropping the property taxes significantly because revenue has gone up so dramatically as property prices have gone up dramatically because of the influx of people from places like New York and New Jersey and Illinois and California. Yeah. Vivek Ramaswamy, thank you.
It's a great trend.
Appreciate your time. What?
Now there's property taxes too. I agree with you, Sean.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
I love it.
Yes.
I think that's a big thing. That's a big thing for everybody, no matter what. That's even a big thing for people that rent. And I say that because if you bring the property taxes down, that'll bring the amount of rent that they're charging down. Hopefully, obviously, it's not always going to be like that. But I think the goal here is to make life more affordable, especially for us in the state of Ohio, which is big to me. That's what I want. I want life to be more affordable. Things are so crazy right now.
If they bring back more industry to the state too, it'll also create competition with other industrial parts. Not even just other states, industrial parts of the world. So again, with Vivek Ramaswamy, if he can just deliver if we could get rid of the state income tax and maybe do it through a sales tax like Florida and Texas or Florida and Tennessee do.
I think that's the goal.
I believe Texas is no state tax now too. I think.
I think they've been like that for a little bit now.
I'd have to look it up to be double sure on that because I'm not really sure, and I don't want to just say that they are. But here's what I do know: Texas, Florida, and Ohio are the 3 largest red states per population.
Really, I did not know Ohio was in there.
Ohio is number 6 on the list out of 10.
Okay,
but we're number 3 out of red states. Okay. It's Texas, Florida, and Ohio. Those are the 3 largest red states. So why are we not already in tune with our other red allies?
Well, we know why that is because of Mike DeRhino.
That's exactly right. Vivek Ramaswamy. Well, Mike DeWine can't run again.
No.
So I disagree with him on what he's doing to, and even though those are Democrat cities that he's doing that to, by the way,
Right.
I disagree with the bait and switch that they pulled on them. That was wrong.
Right. Like I said, though. Like I said, though. He with any politician, you know, and a lot of things in life, actually, you got to weigh the good with the bad and make sure that the good's always outweighing the bad. And with Mike DeRhino, unfortunately, the bad just completely outweighs the good.
It's going to be an unfortunate end of his legacy.
Yeah, which, you know, it is what it is. And hey, he is who he is. What can we do about it? You know what I'm saying? We could just not vote for him.
No, we'll vote for Vivek Ramaswamy because he's going to be the next. That's who I'm voting for. He will be the next governor of Ohio. And I will keep pushing Vivek Ramaswamy all the way to the election.
Exactly.
My mind is made up. I don't need to see. I mean, I would like to do a little bit of, research on Heather Hill. I've done quite a bit of research on Dave Yost. He's a great candidate.
Okay.
I just don't think he has the spark and fly right now
You know,
that Vivek Ramaswamy has.
Maybe we could do a special on that. Maybe we could do an episode on the candidates for Ohio governor.
I think we really should, especially since this is an Ohio-based show too.
Right.
Yes, the show is about it's about the perspective in our from the MAGA movement.
Right.
Yes. But we have a MAGA movement that's taking place in Ohio now, and Vivek Ramaswamy is leading that movement. So I think we did definitely do a show on that for sure.
I'm here for it, and I'm cool with it. I like Vivek. I think he says all the right things. Hopefully, he delivers on that. But everything's a wait and see with especially with governors, with presidents, with any politician. It's a wait and see, because when you elect them, you got to hope that what you elected them for, that's what they do, what they promise, and they keep the promises. In my opinion.
Absolutely. Like I said, if they just keep a couple of them and actually get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, small progress is still progress.
Right. And not everything. And one thing people need to realize is that if and when he becomes governor, not everything's done overnight. It takes time.
No.
It takes a lot of time, especially on a more local level.
That's why they're allowed 2 6-year terms, because it could take 12 years. So
exactly.
Is it 6 years or is it 4 years? It's 6 years, right?
I believe I think it is 4 years, but it's not it's after the president, I believe. Like, so 2 years into the presidency.
I'll have to look that
up.
I'll look it up
too.
The bottom line is we know that Mike DeWine's not running. I thought it was 6 years, but it might be.
You're probably right.
But even if it's 4, I know it. Anyway, he's term limited regardless. So
he's the man.
He's in the past. So
okay.
Hopefully he'll do right by those cities. Hopefully he'll do right by them before he's out of office, but we'll see how that goes.
I doubt he will.
So let me ask you this. What's your take on all of this then?
Man, it's a lot to take in. I think AOC is adult.
I think we can all agree.
I would love to see peace all around the world, starting with Ukraine and Russia. I hope Donald Trump can get that done and get it done as quick as possible with his limited amount of resources and a limited amount of people being slaughtered as possible. So the quicker that the deal gets done in Ukraine and Russia, the closer we move to world peace. As for Vivek, we already said it about Vivek. Hey, Vivek 2026? I'm with it.
I'm definitely with it. I guess my take is I am glad to see the president is following through on his bringing peace to Ukraine and Russia. Yes. I believe that will have the domino effect that's necessary to bring peace in Gaza, peace in Israel.
Yes.
And
peace around the world.
Peace around the world, and maybe stop an invasion in Taiwan because of it.
Yes.
But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, because we're just not there yet.
The second part here is, well, this is for AOC and the Democrat Party. AOC, whether you like it or not, you are the face and the poster child of the Democratic Party, which right now
is not looking
the party.
good.
is the party of dipshits and dumb fuckery. But that's where you're at, AOC, whether you like it or not, admit it. And Jon Stewart, don't waste your time going on his show. He has to explain to people what his words are. Who needs that? Condescending asshole. And I'm just saying, he's a condescending asshole.
It's true, though.
Man.
It is very true. Very, very true.
I mean, you got to explain the words. If you got to explain the words, don't fucking use it.
Exactly.
And on that, Vivek Ramaswamy, as always, man, I got your back, brother. The next governor of Ohio.
2026. All right, guys. On that note, that's the end of this one. This is episode 4. We really appreciate you guys. And I know I already told you, but if you haven't yet, please make sure to hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe, smash the notification. And just remember that all this is possible with God. That's all this is possible through. I'd like to thank my family, thank everybody out there, and thank God for all the opportunities I have.
And I would like to thank you, Bird. I'd like to thank our audience. And as always, I'm going to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Good night, y'all.
Yes, sir.